Well, hi, everybody. This is Dear Mama Sal, and it is Soul Sunday. For those of you who may be tuning in for the first time, let me just explain. On Sundays, we calm down everything as much as we can. And because of that, I would just like to warn you, if you happen to be driving a car or using machinery or something, please don't continue with this because I will intentionally be bringing down the vibration. And if I, the reason I do this is because we put all the Sunday broadcasts together as a Soul Sunday playlist, so that if ever you want help going to sleep, you will know that this will help lower your vibration and help you sleep. So if you're driving a car, please turn this off and listen to it when you are in a more intelligent place to be listening to it. Definitely not while you're driving a car. Today we're going to be talking about kindness. And we're not talking about how kind you are to others, because I am pretty sure, knowing my viewers, that you are kinder to others than you are to yourself. And therefore, what I have done today is put together a list of different quotes and ideas on being kinder to yourself. And it is difficult. I am pleased to say that for those of you who've been following my progress, I am busy about to put my house on the market, probably tomorrow. And I understand that this will create a great deal of change in my life, on stress levels, on tidiness, on all sorts of things that I probably need to improve anyway. And so it is really weird, but I thought I would tell you a really strange thing. Some of you know that I had a situation recently, and what happened was that somebody asked if I wanted to sell my trailer. I don't have a for sale sign on my trailer, but the answer is yes, I do. And the most peculiar thing is, hi Jamie, the most peculiar thing is that I thought, why on earth did they ask me if I wanted to sell my trailer? I've had the trailer on my driveway for 20 years. Nobody's ever asked me if I wanted to sell it. Well, guess what? Today, the doorbell went, my new doorbell, which I hear very well. Boy, that's a wake-up call. Anyway, my doorbell went and I went downstairs, and here was this guy outside, and he went, sorry to bother you, ma'am, but I just wondered if you are considering selling your trailer. And I just smiled and went, yep. I said, it may be sold. And if it is sold, it will be gone on Saturday. So therefore, if it's still here on Sunday, yes, the answer is I will be selling it. So how many of you understand that there is no for sale sign on that trailer? It's been there for 20 years. Nobody has ever asked me if I want to sell it. And I've had 2 offers on my trailer in 2 weeks. How many of you are going, isn't that amazing? So, kindness. Let me ask you, what is kindness? What do you think it is? When you consider being kind to others, what words come to your mind? Because I think that understanding the words around kindness perhaps is a good place to start. And so for those of you who are big into English, I looked up synonyms, that's similar words to the word kindness. Hi, Sarah. I remember you, Sarah Beth. How could I not remember you, honey? I'm delighted to see you here. Well done. I don't know what brought you back today, but we are delighted to see you. And just so that you know, Sarah Beth, I was talking to Oz just last week, and he's doing really well, just so that you know that. I'm trying to think of the other people that you may, well, if you You were just thinking about me. Isn't that beautiful? Thank you. All right, so here are some words around kindness. First of all, may I ask you, if you heard somebody say you are kind, what would you say? What do you hear in your mind when you hear the words, you are kind? Congratulations on your 19 months old, Sarah, Beth. So you hear the words, somebody says to you, you are kind. What goes on in your mind when you hear that? Do you agree with it, Jody? Do you agree that you are kind? And what about Sarah Beth? Do you agree that you are kind? What about Jamie? Do you agree that you are kind? And for those of you listening, do you agree that you are a kind person? Or does your mind automatically start to go, no, you're not? If only you knew. And so if you do get that sort of response to it, try saying, I am kind most of the time. Would that be more true? I don't want you to lie. I want you to understand that come from a place of integrity. I find that I would find it difficult to say I am kind 100% of the time. But I do believe that I am kind most of the time. And how about helpful? Hi, Isabel. How about helpful? Can you say, I am helpful? And listen to what your voice says. By the way, if any of you can type in what your voice is saying when you hear that, it would be very helpful to others. So when you hear the words, I am helpful, what does your brain say? Try saying it and hear what your brain says to you. Does it agree with you? Or does it fight you? And it's really important to know this because it can change your life. Sarah Beth is saying, my kindness towards others is based on how their attitudes towards me. If you're nice, I'll be nice to you. All right, Sarah Beth, the work we've been doing this year is not about them at all. All right, what we're really working on this year in terms of our emotional intelligence is to be who we are. And if you are a nice person, do not let it be dependent on what the other person is doing. Be a nice person. Be a kind person. Beth is saying, hi, Carrie, and hi, Beth, and somebody else that is Christy. Hi, Christy. And Beth is saying, I wonder why my customers see me as kind. I'm a stranger. Makes me think that their heart experience kindness from others. And I'm elated that I could bring kindness into their hearts and to spread it to others. I am not at all surprised, Beth. You are a kind person at your heart. You've had some pretty unkind things happen in your life, and you choose to show kindness now that you are aware. What about if I said you are tactful? Again, hi, Carrie. Again, would you say that that is true of you? Could you say, I am tactful? Or do you need to say, I am tactful most of the time? The next word is more challenging for me. It's, can you say you are mild? No, I have difficulty saying that I am mild. So I can say I am mild. I am mild some of the time. Actually, more of the time now that I've stopped letting the external affect me. Hi there, Christy, and hi, Becca. So I am mild some of the time, and I'm working on that. about courteous? How many of you believe you are courteous or polite? Would you say, I am polite as a person? Yes, and so Kerry, that's maybe one trait. Kerry's saying, I am not a mild person, I don't think. So maybe that's one of the things you might want to work on, Kerry, is to find out what mild looks like and whether you can improve that in any way. Yes, Becca's saying that she's mild 99% of the time. All right, so there's a good person for you to find out what the definition of mild is. What would be your definition, Becca, because you are good with words? Jody says, I am not mild some of the time. It's a work in progress. Yes, I believe that is one of my works in progress. Christy's saying, I am polite. Yes, I think I am polite a lot of the time, Christy. And there are some times when that would not be true. So Kerry's saying, I'm pretty mellow and go with the flow. Does that make me mild? Yeah, I'm pretty nice. That's a good thing to be able to say about yourself. How about, if you've got a piece of paper, Kerry, just write down the word mild and research it a bit and see, what it says. All right, so Kirsty's saying, I need to be more like Kerry. In what way, Kirsty? Do you need to go with the flow a bit more? I'm really working on going with the flow a lot more this year. I'm really working hard not to just do it my way. I'm trusting the universe a lot more this year. How many of you? All right, so Becca's saying, I would say mild is just someone who speaks generally at a lower volume and usually slower. They think before they speak. Mild generally does not interrupt anyone else's conversation. Mild doesn't necessarily mean quiet. Jody saying, I express myself passionately and working on mild. Right? Okay, so this is good that you can see the humor in some of these. I love it. Would you say you are a thoughtful person? Can you say, I am thoughtful? Or can you say, I am thoughtful most of the time? Christy, a lot of us understand the being very opinionated thing, including the person talking with you. Okay, so Beth is saying, I'm mild until someone ruffles my feathers one too many times. Yeah, a lot of us relate to your world there. Becca says, yes, I am thoughtful as I overthink and I overcare. Yes, I would like to say that I am thoughtful all of the time. I don't think I am, but I do believe I am thoughtful a lot of the time. So I am happy to be able to have an affirmation that says I am thoughtful a lot of the time and working on more. How about understanding? Do you seek first to understand? When somebody attacks you, is your first reaction to attack back, or is your first reaction to say to yourself, before I react, let me understand where that was coming from? Do you go out of your way to understand other people's point of view? Do you go out of your way to understand other people's emotional outbursts? Do you go out of your way, to make sure you are not reacting out of emotion? Jody saying, I am thoughtful and an empath. which can literally hurt sometimes. Yes, Jody, and you're actually working very well on those. Becca's saying your voice today, Sal, is more toned down, like more relaxing than normal. Am I tired? Or are you being more intentional about your tone? If you have been here at the beginning of the broadcast and any Sunday broadcast, Becca, you will know that over the last months, we have toned down the Sunday broadcasts and put them into one playlist. They are intentionally slower and they are intentionally at a different voice tone so that they can help you go to sleep if you should wish to put them on. You also will, by virtue of the fact that this is happening, you will also be able to learn while you sleep, because if you put the playlist on as you go to sleep, you know that your mind will still be able to take in the knowledge. Beth is saying, I can only give so much of myself before I don't feel I exist anymore. And that's when I choose to tell it like it is and make me more important than others. It's a fine balance, but I can do it. Yes, Beth, you know, I am so amazed at how you have improved on that. You know, you've done a great job in protecting yourself recently. So, how many of you can say, I am compassionate? I have compassion. And I, again, would have to say, I can say that most of the time. Not all of the time, but most of the time. And how many of you can say, I am unselfish? Right, now Becca's saying about the compassion. I can say it typically, my anxiety tends to prevent me from responding, and I hate that. You know, but you're working on that, Becca. You know, don't beat up on yourself for where you're at, right? You've come a long way and you are working on it. And I would say that to any of us. I believe that life is a journey and we all join on the train, if you like, at different stations. Is that an analogy that some of you could relate to? You know, life is a journey and we are all getting on at different stations. So if you think of yourself as being unselfish, that would mean that you give obviously to others, but there's also part of me, as Beth was saying, that would encourage you to be a little more selfish. Right, and that's exactly what Beth is now saying. I'm definitely more selfish than I used to be, and I like it. I needed to be selfish to discover who I am. Yes, you know, Beth, we were saying on the broadcast on Friday, no is a complete sentence. You do not have to justify anything past no. Right? When somebody says, can you do 3 extra shifts this week? No. All right, so Christy is saying something that I believe a lot of you can relate to. Christy's saying, I give more to others than myself. When I do for myself, I feel guilty. All right? So, Christy, we encourage you to do your homework this week and make time for yourself. You make time to write down what you want to achieve, not just what little Sophia needs. To write, to really, maybe let her go on a play date, and so that you can go and do something you'd like to do, like maybe go sit under a tree and write or think, or just chill without that ongoing responsibility. Becca's saying, yes, I find it hard to say no with the extra shifts I've been taking. So my workload has literally doubled, but my energy levels have taken a beating and I can't seem to catch up. And I have felt like my depression and anxiety don't get the help they need. Good, Becca. That's a great learning that you can see that. Now it requires that you say no. Beth is saying, if you don't do for yourself, then you can fully get to do more for others. All right. So that, in other words, if you do more for yourself, you will be able to do more for others because you will have more balance. I want to tell you that I am a little bit stunned, and I want to thank you all for traveling this train journey with me about emotional intelligence, because I can really feel it making a difference in my life this year. Carrie's saying, I told work no yesterday about doing overtime today. I gave up 7 hours of my day yesterday in overtime. I needed to rest because I've lost my voice and I needed sleep. You don't have to justify it, Carrie. That's the next learning. It's just to understand that no is a complete sentence. You don't have to justify why. Becca's saying, I've often heard, don't pour from an empty cup. All right, now Christy's saying, I bought myself a Mother's Day gift and I feel guilty because I think I'm taking from Sophia. No, you are indirectly giving to Sophia. By giving to yourself, what did you get, Christy, if we may ask? You don't have to share it, but it's interesting to know what you treated yourself to. And I want you to enjoy it. All right, so Becca's saying, but then I've heard a counter word to that says that if we're in the process of pouring into others, that is self-care. Yes, and I would say to you, if you're coming from a place of self-awareness, if you are giving to others when you don't have enough to give to yourself, then balance it out a little. That is what we're saying. I'm not saying don't give to others because it's really a great thing. Carrie's saying, I clocked in at 8 a.m. and left at 9:30 last night. I was doing 4 hours of sleep, and yes, you don't have to justify it, right? Well done, Christy. She bought herself a face brush. Well done. And so when you look at these words, be really aware. Would you say that you are a friendly person? All right? Are you a friendly person? Hi, Pat. Can you say that to yourself as we sit here on Soul Sunday and bring it down? If somebody said you are a friendly person, would you agree? I would again say I'm a friendly person most of the time. And that's a very important thing. I work hard to try and be friendly because I scare a lot of people. I wonder if any of you understand that, that I find that the way I walk, the way I talk, my attitude, my big mouth and opinions, I can scare a lot of people. And so I do try to be friendly as well. Becca's saying, Sal, how do I learn to just accept at face value the things I can recognize in myself, like character traits you've mentioned, instead of turning it into a weakness, which is my flaw? That's what I'm trying to help you with, Becca. Is it's okay to say, I am a friendly person most of the time, and I'm working on being more friendly. I am a kind person most of the time. I am sure that is true of you. I am a compassionate person most of the time. And so, to me, this is like, be gentle with yourself. Would you say that you are an affectionate person? If somebody said, can you say, I am an affectionate person? And because, we all need that tactile moment. All right. And so Jody's saying, I'm friendly, yes, but there are occasional days that I don't feel very outgoing, more introverted. And that's human nature, Jody. Kerry's saying, I believe overall that I'm a kind, decent person. But I got my moments. We all do, Kerry. Becca's saying, I'm not physically affectionate, but I feel like I'm emotionally affectionate and verbally affectionate. So that's a very good definition. I would say that I am physically affectionate to my close friends um, most of the time. I have no problem giving them a hug. I don't think twice. I quite often touch them when I talk to them, especially if I get excited. Do any of you relate to that? I call it my Italian mode. I get very, I'm very hands-on when I get passionate about that. I wonder, Jody, as a passionate person that you were talking about, do you find that you get very animated when that happens? Now, Kerry's saying, I'm affectionate on my terms. I've been hurt a lot and I only accept physical affection from those with whom I feel safe. All right, Beth is saying, I'm not a toucher. Now, that doesn't make it wrong, Beth. All right? That there are different sorts of people. Some people are tactile, that, they need to touch things. Now, I don't touch everyone. That sounds almost rude, doesn't it? But, when I'm very close to somebody. Yeah, Christy, I hug my friends all the time. I hug Yvonne, who lives with me every time I see her. Right. Not really with your family. And the reason, Becca, that you are not tactile with your family is they're not a tactile group of people. But yes, you are tactile when you run into your friends, right? I'm pretty certain if I stood in front of you tomorrow, Becca, you'd probably find it within your heart to be able to hug me. Yes, Beth, isn't that the truth? Beth is saying hugs make me instantly cry because just a simple hug touches my heart so intensely. And I am not used to that. And Carrie's saying, I am an affectionate person to a certain extent. But again, it's on my terms because not everybody likes to be touched. Exactly. And so I find that I ask if there's somebody that I feel like I'd like to give a hug to, I will always say, I really would love to give you a hug. Would that be okay? And if they say no, I go, feel one. And I will literally go like this and I go, please feel one. I don't have to touch them. I just will send the hug anyway. Jody's saying, I must burn 100 calories having a conversation. My arms are all over the place. Yeah. And the more excited I get, the more my hands go like windmills. Becca's saying my natural thing was to hug Jen when I got to reunite with her. And I guess she's really not at all, or didn't expect me to. And she kind of said, oh, you're a hugger. So that kind of made me aware that just because I want to hug somebody doesn't mean that they have the same idea. Yeah, listen to Pat. Pat's going, everything makes me cry. Happy, sad, mad. Did you forget frustration? um, Apparently it does me too, Pat. Yeah, and I'm certain a lot of the viewers will relate to that. And just in relating, I cried. So, but you know, Pat, that's who you are. That's why we love you. It's not good or bad. That's saying touching makes it feel real. I lived in a fantasy in my own mind. I still can't handle that. I am pretty certain, Beth, if I walked into your world and I would just look at you and we'd both start to cry, I'm pretty sure of that. So I think, it's very important to understand that, Beth, that who you are is a very, yeah, I know you would cry. So I cried just thinking about it. All right, so Kerry's saying, my car is in the shop, so I've had to depend on people for rides. I had to set my pride aside and ask for help, which we all know I hate asking for help. All right, so Becca's saying, I am my mother's daughter. I hate asking for help, like at work as an employee. Scared it will make me look dumb. Well, Becca, I was taught very early on in my career that asking for help was a sign of strength, not one of weakness. It doesn't make you look dumb. It is how you say it. All right, which is, I know you've told me this, I just want to double check. Because at the time that you told me, apparently it went in one ear and straight out the other. It's okay. I think a lot of us need to learn how to ask for help. And you'd be surprised how, I'd like to give you something to think about. Do the other person a really big favor and let them be smart, or let them be helpful by asking for help. All right? So you understand that we think it's all about we look stupid or dumb. It isn't about that. It is, let the other person have the magic of helping you. All right, Beth is saying asking for help means you are motivated. Non-motivated people don't care about being better. And so Kerry's saying that even though she's been asking for help, she's made sure that she's paid her way so that she's not a mooch. That's a good one. Would you say that you are good-natured? I am a good-natured person. Or do you think that most of the time you are a miserable person? And did any of you see the link I put up on something that Tony Robbins said? I don't know if any of you saw that. And what Tony Robbins said is that, so much of our mood has to do with our posture, how we sit. If you're lying in bed the whole time, you're not going to be very motivated. If you are slouched like this, if you sit up straight, if you walk straight, if you even walk from one room to the other, with a purpose, you'll be amazed what it does for your mood. All right. And so what I'd like you to be more aware, if you get a chance, it's on the Facebook page, DearMamaSal Facebook page. It might be worth just taking a couple of minutes and checking that out. And so, I really would recommend that you think about that. How we sit, how we stand, how we walk affects our mood. Now, Becca, I think we all slouch every now and then. Yes, Pat saying the same for exercise. The more I do, the better I feel. So I'm just suggesting, give that some thought. Beth saying, I'm a good-natured and love to make people laugh. It's amazing how my attitude can change how others respond. And even though I don't like to touch, I can make a person feel good. Yes, because you touch their soul. You do actually touch them. You just don't do it physically. And that's a lot safer thing when you're in the customer service business. How many of you can say that you are, hi Minnie, how many of you can say that you are tolerant? Do you feel that you are pretty patient with people and tolerant? Thanks, Jody. Yeah, hi, Ali. Do you feel you are a tolerant person? Or are you tolerant with some people and not so much with the stupid ones? And I say that because I am amazed, you know, how I've watched some people be very tolerant with some people. No, Minnie is Nana's granddaughter, Ali. Christy's going, I have little patience when my 4-year-old talks back to me. Christy, I think anybody that's had children will tell you they've been through that and survived. And in a way, if you can, um, you know, just smile and be grateful that you've taught her that's to be independent. Beth saying, hey, I'm tolerant too. I have a lot of good traits. I feel really good about myself with this broadcast. Well done, Beth. And Ali saying, I tolerate a lot of people until they hurt my family. Yeah. And I think, Ali, that a lot of people would relate to you. You know, they are very tolerant up to this point. Gary saying, I've been told a lot recently at work that I'm so nice and patient. And I thought after 7 p.m. last night, only because I'm getting paid for it. But to be fair, I'd been up since 4:30. Yeah. All right, so Christy's saying she rolls her eyes at mummy and daddy when she gets in trouble now. Christy, you created a performer. And really, do you ever want to just laugh? Do you ever find yourself looking at her and going, this is so funny? Jody's saying, I've made quite a bit of progress with the patience issue, I think. A few years ago, I couldn't say the same. So Christy is now saying, you know, about does she ever chuckle? She goes, I did. She is so my child. Yes. This is called payback, Christy. And so I think, you know, if you can remind her, I see your eyes rolling. Could you give me the words that go with that? And by the way, don't then tell her off for the words she uses. Carrie's saying, I'm more patient than I used to be. And for that, I'm proud. Way to go, Carrie. Becca says, I'm working from being patient to being more active in a situation that I'm involved in. Christy says, she may look like her daddy, but her attitude is for me. Best of luck, Gwen, Christy. Yes, Jody. Jody's saying, but some people trigger me, and that's on me, not them. I want to say, Jody, that the day that you really get that, which you obviously get now, it really is quite a mind-blowing time when you realize they didn't upset me. I upset myself when I listened to them. I did not control me. Beth is saying my grandchild Lily is 6 months now and crawling. It's like watching my daughter all over again. Pure joy. And enjoy the joy, Beth. I think that's wonderful. Do you think that you are a giving person? Pat, in answering to Beth and to Christy, I guess it's like our grandbabies are our best revenge. Yeah, it's payback. I always say that to people. Don't be surprised that they're acting like this. All right, so Carrie's saying she's out on her porch and she just saw a cardinal, really beautiful bird. So, and it was beautiful. Yes, take those moments in nature. So, I want to just move on and give you some quotes that I found. Just bear with me when I find them. Because I'm hoping that these will continue to give you some joy today. Louise Hay, whom I quote quite often, said, "You've been criticizing yourself for years, and it hasn't worked. Try approving of yourself and see what happens." Can any of you feel that at your soul? You've been criticizing yourself all your life, and you know where it's taken you. All right, so Ali's saying, I've learned to stop being so giving because I find that when I do it constantly, I don't have much energy, time, love, or tolerance for myself. Yes, and Ali, this is the whole point of this broadcast, is to remind you to have that balance. Don't give to others to the detriment of keeping yourself at peace. If you need time for you, it's okay to take some. So you've been criticizing yourself for years. How many of you relate to that one? And it hasn't worked. Try approving of yourself and see what happens. Becca, I think that would be a wonderful one for you to work on. Beth says, I am my own worst critic. I learned the hard way, but I'm working on it every day. Yes, that's what we do. And this, that's why we're working on emotional intelligence, is less blame, less shame, more reality, more love. If you do not respect your own wishes, no one else will. You will simply attract people who disrespect you as much as you do. I'm going to read that again. If you do not respect your own wishes, no one else will. You will simply attract people who disrespect you as much as you do. I have been that person. I so relate to that at a very core level, that's who I used to be. I did not respect myself, my ideas, my ideals, my beliefs. And I attracted some really nasty people in my life that looked like they were nice people, but they weren't. So take a deep breath, because taking time to relax every day, spending quality time with friends, and practicing mindfulness are some of the tried and tested ways of developing self-compassion. Do you all have at least one person in your life that actually loves you for who you are? Do you know that, even on your bad days, they still love you? Because if you do, then you are being authentic. All right, so Ali's saying, if you don't love yourself, how on earth are you going to love somebody else? Yeah, and that came from RuPaul. Yes, if you don't love yourself. So, to me, I had to learn to love myself, warts and all. I had to love myself even though I didn't know it all. I had to love myself even though I got old. It's like these are all things that I have learned. I would honestly say, um, I can honestly say, I think I love myself more than I ever have, and I feel better for it. Thank you, Becca. I really appreciate that. And so, um, it's really important to understand that you can do it, Becca. You can love yourself. You just need to give yourself permission to do that. You are a beautiful spirit. We all know that. Yeah, Kerry's saying Dora loves me unconditionally. Yeah. Christy's saying I love myself. I tell myself that all the time. If I don't love myself, how will anybody else love me? Yeah. And I don't ask that I'm perfect, Christy. I just know I'm a very lovable person if you can, if you've got a bit of tolerance and compassion and a lot of humor and give me time. I take a bit of getting used to, in my view, right? But I do know there are people in my life who love me dearly, warts and all. I love it. Kerry's saying, I'm finally loving myself. Some days I struggle to love me, but I love me. Yes, you will know if you love yourself if you can find yourself amusing. If you can find yourself amusing, you probably love yourself. If you can actually find yourself saying, maybe that wasn't the most polite thing I could have said, I think it's time for an apology. Then you're being self-loving. Carrie's Becca's saying, I can't say that I love myself, but I love others, even those who want to hurt me. Yes, and so it's a step in the right direction, Becca. You're getting there. Just learn how to give what you give them to yourself. Ali's saying it scares me sometimes to think that my little sisters at some point in time won't love themselves. So I try to show them that I love myself and them so they can learn to do the same. Yes, by the way, Ali, know that you cannot control somebody else. All right? I think it's wonderful that you give them the role model. But also don't blame yourself if they don't learn at the speed that you did. All right? And so I would ask you to be very tolerant of that, all right? Which is everybody's going at their own speed. If as I said, life is a train and we're all getting on it at different places, different stops. Some of us have been on that train a long time, and some of us are just learning. And so even those that have been on a long time, we're still learning as well. Each wave that rolls onto the shore must release back into the ocean. Can you see that? You are the same. Each wave of action you take must release back to the peace within you. Stress is what happens when you resist this natural process. Everyone needs breaks. Denying this necessity does not remove it. Let yourself go. Realize that sometimes the best thing you can do is absolutely nothing. How many of you can feel that? You spend so much time giving, like the surge of a wave, that you don't give yourself time to pull back and gain more energy to be able to give again. How many of you are just trying to give and give and give and just wear yourself out? One thing is for sure, you will make mistakes. Learn to learn from them. Learn to forgive yourself. Learn to laugh. when everything falls apart, because sometimes it will. I talked about what happened to me when I was busy signing all the papers to list my house. And I forgave myself for calling a halt to it because I didn't have the right information. All right? I must tell you that I am learning that that's okay. All right? Which is, I need to do this so that I am comfortable, not the rest of the world. So Christopher Dines said that in The Mindful Way, it's a book that he wrote about drug addiction recovery. The reality is that there are plenty of trustworthy people in the world rebuilding their lives. It was a very gradual process for me to open up and talk about what is really going on in my recovery. The more I started to take risks by talking to others, however, the more I had an opportunity to exercise boundaries. As I asserted new boundaries, I started to gravitate towards people with integrity, warm-heartedness, and decency. How many of you believe that you are a decent person? Right? How many of you can say that? I think I am a decent person most of the time. If you can say that, right, then you have found some level of serenity. All right, so Jody just needs to go away for a second, but Kerry's saying, I know I'm a decent person. And Becca's saying, what exactly does decent mean? Whatever you wanted to, actually, Becca. And Becca, you think my phone went off? What do you want me to do, Becca? Concentrate on you or my phone? Right? So just think about that. You don't need to wait for somebody else to notice your talents before nurturing them or nourishing them. You don't need others to accept you to feel accepted. You don't need others to accept you to feel accepted, and you don't need to wait. You can begin at any moment to work on noticing, nourishing, and accepting yourself. You can work on being a better friend to your reflection. You can start listening to yourself like you wish other people would. You can become curious about who you are. You can begin to learn the language of your mind and body so you can decode it, understand it, and speak it. You can work on understanding yourself instead of always trying to make yourself into somebody else. I always think about Jody being a pretzel when I first met her. And I really have to say that I don't feel that anymore, right? That we can learn to just take, it is not selfish to look after yourself. It is not noble to not look after yourself, in my view. And so to me, this is really important. Kerry's saying that she and Mike told each other some secrets this afternoon. That's always a scary thing to do, Kerry, because will those secrets stay secrets or will they be spread, right? And that's why I've always said, tell your secrets to safe people. And I'm pretty sure you feel that Mike is pretty safe at this point. You can choose a love and a life that doesn't break you. You can claim a softer beauty and a kinder want. Even your animal hunger can soften its rough edges and say a full-throated yes to what is good and kind and holy. Know that the insanity is not a prerequisite for passion, and that there is always a pathway for your art, one that does not demand your pain as payment for its own becoming. Love it doesn't have to hurt anymore. Love does not have to hurt anymore. And this one, I think, Becca, this one really is so cute, and I hope you hear it. You're already stuck with yourself for a lifetime. Why not improve the relationship? All right, Becca's saying, I don't wear makeup to work, but I often wish I did because I can get quite flushed running around caring about stuff, stocking, and being social, and I wish my face didn't show it. Well, it does. All right, so Christy's saying, I agree, love doesn't hurt. All right? Anybody who says that I love you and hurts you, be aware that they must be hurting. Thank you, Jody. Ali's saying, I was diagnosed a year and a half ago. Wow, I didn't know that, Ali. I'm not sure what that is, and you don't have to tell us. But that diagnosis has forced me to work and focus on myself so that I continue to live a normal life. Way to go. Yes, sometimes life makes us look at ourselves, right? I had the same thing. I had to have a very good look at myself and my stress level. Carrie's saying, I'm a very passionate person. I feel things so deeply and profoundly. It's almost a double-edged sword. Yes, but you can choose to put boundaries in so that things do not touch you as deeply or profoundly. That's learning. And Becca's saying, I'm starting to wonder, am I a passionate person? I often say I think deeply, but I guess I also feel deeply. I just don't embrace those feelings as my own. Yeah, I think you are a very intellectual person, Becca. I think you intellectualize things a lot, and you don't give yourself permission to feel a lot. And Becca, the reason I have great sympathy for you in that is because I remember once being in therapy, and that's what I was told. Intellectually, you understand a great deal. You just don't give yourself permission to feel anything. Christy's saying, I feel too much, I think. Right. Um, and so, yes, it's like, and again, Christy, that is a boundary that we're working on, right? We're all working on that. We're working, if you haven't seen the broadcast that I did Friday evening, it was about how to turn it around so you don't hold on to those things. If you feel it deeply all the time, imagine the stress that's putting on your body. And so, try and learn how to control that a little. Instead of trying to control everybody else, our goal this year is to control ourselves. And Becca's saying, yes, like if I cry, I feel guilty for crying. I just don't let it be. I know, Becca, it's okay to cry. All right, so Kerry's saying, I have strong, clear boundaries. Mike didn't listen to me well enough about not messing with my feet and was trying to wake me up earlier and tickled my feet. And I just ninja kicked it in the direction of him. All right, for those who feel good emotionally, we have to look after, for us to feel good emotionally, we have to look after ourselves. I really do. I can feel the difference since I've been looking after myself better. Let go of rejections and focus on self-reflection, for it is within that that you will find the light you seek. All right, now listen to this one, everybody. Peak performance happens when we feel loved and supported from within. When we feel loved and supported from within. I am truly amazed the things that are coming into my life since I've started to not let everything stress me out, or since I've realized I can do this in my own time, not everybody else's. And since I've realized that if I really do believe that the world is unfolding as it should, then I can take the time to look after me. I can take the time to relax a little. I can take the time to laugh a little. I have to tell you that have a look at, I don't know if any of you keep track of how well you're sleeping, but I noticed that all the problems that I was having, um, I was also not sleeping well. I was sleeping less than 6 hours a night on average. I set a goal, and Jody has been with me all the way along that. I set a goal to average more than 7 hours sleep a night. And it's taken me months to achieve it. All right. It requires a lot of discipline and a lot of calming down and just being at peace before I go to sleep. And the most incredible thing is that this week, for the first time, I believe, it's the best that I've done. In the whole week, I averaged 7 hours and 25, at 7.25 hours. I haven't been using any natural aid like melatonin, no. All right, so Ali's also saying that getting proper sleep is a big struggle of mine. Sleep medication doesn't help. Yeah. You know, Ali, I really worked at it very hard. I worked at it in terms of, I now sort of spend 2 hours getting ready to go to sleep. I also, when I wake up in the morning, I try and give myself time to wake up better. So I actually allow myself a bit of extra time between when I wake up and when I actually get out of bed. And it's amazing, how different I feel. So, Ali, maybe I can suggest you start working on that. Put away the electronics um, at a set time. And, or I found that putting on piano music when I went to sleep helped me a great deal to start with. But after a while, I learned that I need to be in a process of being ready to go to sleep. I can't go from high functioning type mood into sleep. I need to slow myself down. And that's partially why we also put the Sunday broadcasts into one playlist, because they are at a tone that hopefully will help some of you go to sleep. So, Ali, you might want to try that. It's called the Soul Sunday playlist. And, if you'd like the link to it, I will make sure you get it. Right. Yeah, Jody said it can be difficult when you're naturally a night person. Yeah. All right. Now, there's probably a reason why you don't, that you that you get good sleep at your nana's or at your mom's. What I'd like you to think about is what is different there, Ali. Think about what time do they go to bed? And what responsibilities do you have when you are visiting them? Maybe, you can look at every part of it and start analyzing it. I know you've got a very sharp mind. Carrie's saying, I finally got proper sleep, and yet I'm still tired. I know it's because I went from 4 hours, 2 days in a row to 8. Yes, I'm sure, that's no brainer that you're still tired. You need to make up that sleep. Um, So thank you, Becca. The melatonin is worth looking into. Quite honestly, I've been happy to find out that I can, it appears that I can do it for myself now that I've sort of got my mind working right. Okay. Whilst excellent is wonderful, it's a wonderful ideal. Perfectionism is a dysfunctional belief system. Many people openly admit that they are perfectionists, which is really an unconscious cry for help. Being a perfectionist is really stating that whatever we attempt to do, we are never good enough. It is due to a mistaken belief that we are flawed and unlovable. How many of you know you are a perfectionist? What you do is never good enough in your mind. So, you know, don't feel guilty about it, Jody. Let it go. Just keep saying to yourself, excellent is good enough, really. Jody, how much creativity have you done in the last couple of weeks? Right, Kerry's saying she's a recovering perfectionist. And Emma Slade said, maybe I was just too young to know how to hold all those balls in the air at once without wanting to cry. How many of you just want that hamster wheel to stop every now and then and let you off? I am really aware that I am about to get off a hamster wheel and get onto a Ferris wheel. And the Ferris wheel is that of selling my home because it has so many bits attached to it. It is so much bigger in so many ways than my day-to-day life. And yet, I have to keep reminding myself that a Ferris wheel doesn't necessarily go as fast as a hamster wheel, that I can do this. Be merciful. If it's a mess, let it be a mess. If it feels like you can't do this today, stay put and explore that feeling. Let your mindfulness co-opt everything in your experience. Unless you are in significant emotional or physical pain, stay put with no matter whatness. Keep realigning with the intentions of your practice: kindness, diligence, presence, attention, relaxation. Be a work in progress while holding this blueprint. The feeling of it being difficult is actually the sensation of your life evolving. Embrace it. It was really strange. One of the things that I knew I needed to do was a bit of touch-up paint in my kitchen. And I've been sort of thinking, when am I going to have time to do that? When am I going to have time? And I just went, if I sell the house without the touch-up paint done, good. I don't have to do it. And funny enough, last night I was busy tidying up in the kitchen, and the next thing I knew, I was busy taping off certain areas. And the next thing I knew, I was mixing up some paint, and then I just painted the bits that needed to be painted. And it probably took me all of half an hour. And I smiled and went, apparently, it was time. Becca's saying, oh, hang on a second. Ali's saying, I feel like I'm always finding something that I need to do, something else I want to learn, somewhere else I need to be. It's nice to have a quiet mind and place sometimes. It sure is, Minnie. Ali, it's the best thing that you can find is that quiet place for yourself. And Becca's saying, I took a shift tomorrow on my day off. It's an opening shift and I'm almost regretting it. But I know the store really needs the help. Yes, and Beth understands that as well. But sometimes it's okay not to do it, Becca. If you really don't feel you're capable, do the Sal trick, which is, yes, I'd love to be able to say yes to that, but quite honestly, I need to say no. I'm desperately in need of some rest, because if I don't get rest, I will not function properly. And that could be a problem. That's okay. All right, so Carrie's saying, I took time to take a long hot shower this morning and it felt amazing. Usually I rush, but today I didn't. Christy's saying, thanks everyone. Hope you all have a great rest of the day and a great week. You too, Christy. Nice to see you. All right, so Becca's saying it's only a 4-hour shift, so I think I can handle it. Becca, also be aware though, that a 4-hour shift requires that you get up at this time to get ready to go to work at this time, the stress of going to work at this time, and then the decompressing after it. So even I used to say to people who said to me, boy, you get paid a lot to speak for half an hour. I said, no, you only see half an hour. You forget the time it took me a day to travel here. It took me, a week before that to prepare. I don't get paid for this half hour. I get paid for the total time it takes to do this. So sometimes, you do as much work to be ready for a 4-hour shift as you would need to do for an 8. Think about that. Simple gratitude practices can be incorporated easily, and I find myself using a handful of them every day. When I let the consistency go, it shows. My life feels slightly off kilter. That feeling is useful information, and it tells me to go back to the basics of practicing gratitude for all the good, and even when it feels like, and at times, the not so good experiences. They all prove useful. When paired with time, it equals perspective, and perspective is a powerful thing because it leads to gratitude. Becca's saying, my dad bought pizza and got half without mushrooms because he knows I don't like mushrooms. That's love. All right, Kerry's saying, everybody else in the house is napping and I'm pondering what to make for dinner. Okay, so let's continue. I believe that the most tragic war of our time is the one within, a war between what we knew as children and what we learn as adults, a war between wisdom and intelligence, a war between the natural color of our hair and the color we chemically impose upon it, a war between the manicured hedges and the untouched wilderness, a war between reality and fairy tales, a war between what we could learn about the world and what we are systematically taught, a war that can end in peace. All right, Becca, she's going off to get some pizza, so have a wonderful evening, everyone. I love you all so much. Big hugs, Becca. Be at peace. So, how are we all feeling? Have we succeeded in slowing down your vibration a little? Are you feeling a little more at peace with yourself? And Jody's saying, I feel like I've been to a spa. That is wonderful to hear. And you know, for those of you saying as you're all talking about food at this point, tonight on the menu in my household, because it is such beautiful weather, it is the well-known Sal's stuffed burger. And today's burgers will be stuffed with cheese, bacon, caramelized onions. Yeah. And then they will be topped with more cheese. So, how many of you are going, yeah, you're coming around for burgers, right? And I just want to tell you that I realized that I had some buns in my freezer, but they weren't hamburger buns, and I don't care. You know, and this is called you getting buns. I need to use stuff that are in my freezer. And how many of you freeze buns? I've actually found something else that I've never done before. Do you know that you can freeze milk quite happily? What I, you know, all my life I've been throwing milk away, and now what I do is when I get it, I actually freeze what I'm not going to use in the next couple of days. And what I found is what used to last me 2 weeks lasts me nearly a month now, because I only bring out as much as I need for the next day or so. And it's amazing. I don't drink nearly as much milk as I used to. And I'm not throwing milk away all the time. And so I just wanted to say that, you know, that's, you know, a really big learning for me, I must say. It's like, wow. And it just literally, I can, you know, at night I look to see how much milk do I have? Do I need to get a little bit more out? Yeah. And I will literally bring out like 8 ounces of milk, knowing that I, you know, unless something weird happens, I won't need more than that. And then I, you know, I have it frozen in different amounts, you know, like I have sort of half a liter and then smaller amounts depending on what I need. So no waste. I want to tell you, Jody, it's amazing the difference. And I also find that you know, I'm not going through that. Oh, I've got to throw half of this away. So it's a good plan. Yes. So the whole thing about the buns, you know, I got buns, and they're not hamburger buns, but I will, you know, probably halve them and even grill them before I put the incredible stuffed burgers on top. Jody, and I'm doing grilled vegetables with maple syrup. You know, just drizzling maple syrup over it. Beth, that is wonderful. Your weight is holding steady at 116 pounds. Yes, I'm very proud of you as well. Beth, I don't know if you noticed, but I decided I was going to stop worrying quite as much as getting the calories count up every day and just at least once a week give you guys the reality of what my weight was doing. I don't know if you've been noticing, but I'm actually, you know, it's a real yo-yo journey. But I am now down to October of last year. So, you know, it went up in huge jumps, but it's coming down very slowly, but it's coming down. And I am very proud of myself. And I really want to thank, you know, you, Beth, for teaching me about, you know, doing the meal prep and stuff, and Jody for being on track. By the way, for those of you who know about my diabetes thing, I did go out for dinner last week. Bye-bye there, Kerry. Have a peaceful week, honey. I went out for dinner last week, and I actually had a steak and fries, and and I dipped the fries in ketchup, people. I have not done that since December. And then I came home, and then I spoke with Jody, and I said, when will this be at its worst? And she said, 2 hours after you've eaten it. So I waited the 2 hours. And then I took my blood sugar, and it was just fine. So, wow, that's amazing, Beth. So Charles has lost 50 pounds, and he is now not on any meds except his thyroid. That is wonderful. I'm working on that. How did he do it, Beth? I saw that Marie said she had lost 10 pounds just by stopping pop soda and drinking 64 ounces of water every day, right? So no grain and no sugar. Yeah. I've all but cut out, I've cut out sugar. I only use sweetener now, except for the natural sugars in things. The no grain, I now only eat sourdough, and I make my own. So, I'm getting there. Did you know that sourdough is a lot better? Yes, it must be very difficult when you two are doing two opposing things. I would say, Beth, that you might just want to, you might want to just make your own plan. Or, as I said, learn to make sourdough bread because it is not as damaging. I was quite surprised when I found that out. It was one of the big learning moments that I had. If you're going to have bread, make it sourdough. And I now make my own sort of whole wheat sourdough. Right. So Jody's saying Lyle and she both eat completely different menus at sometimes. Yeah. That is awesome. All right. So I hope you're all feeling a little bit more peaceful. And I really thank you all for the support as we do this train journey this year. Tomorrow, I get to re-sign all those papers. So I will need to spend a bit of time to sit down and read through the ones that I haven't signed yet to make sure there are no major problems there. And then I guess the next thing is that I will have to have an open house. How many of you can imagine? Yeah, it is what it is, right? It needs to be done. And it's about all my neighbors coming in to see my home. Niasha, I'm just saying goodbye, honey. But this one is an important broadcast as well, Niasha. It's all about being kind to yourself. So you will need this one too. So yeah, that's good. You enjoy the replay. Yeah, thanks everybody. Jody, thank you for being there for us as our admin. We really appreciate that. And thank you all for your time and effort and for your willingness to go along this path this year. I am hoping that you're all beginning to feel emotionally a little stronger than you were. And, we've got a long way to go, and we're going to keep talking about it and doing the right things. So this is DearMamaSal saying thank you so much all for your time. And yes, Beth has 30-year anniversary. Which day next week? What's the date? On the 10th. Okay, so that's, what's today? The 5th, right? So we wish you well on that one. All right, everybody. So have a wonderful week. Be at peace. Let it all go and just go with the flow. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, thank you for being here and bye bye for now.